First, I have to say thank you to everybody that's here, everybody that put this together, all of the sponsors that are here that came from, man, some cold places. So thank y'all for coming. And, I've been on this journey. Perfect. I've been on this journey of self-discovery and just trying to find myself so that I could I've narrowed it down to, I wanted to stop making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And I've made a lot of them over and over and over again. And so talking to a lot of my friends know that I've been trying to discover this new person for a long time. And in talking with Darren very recently, Darren told me, he said, Alvin, man, I got this thing that's going to be good for you. I'll be with you. And I said, okay, what is it? I'm all in. And he said, well, Aaron Rodgers did it. He came back and Green Bay won the Super Bowl a couple of times, so y'all can appreciate I'm going to go do that. Will Smith did it about 11 times. And look at his career. Maybe that's why he slapped Chris Rock too. But I'm with that. And I said, well, Darren, what is it? You got to tell me more. You got to tell me more. And so he told me, man, it's ayahuasca. I said, oh, okay. So ayahuasca. I couldn't even pronounce it, but I trust him. He's a friend, and I'm really trying to discover why I've continued to make these mistakes. And so I committed to do this about a month before we actually did it. And the more I understood, they said the medicine, once you commit to doing something, that it actually starts working on you because you've already committed. So in that process, I really figured out that one of the reasons I had made some of those same mistakes over and over again was because of fear. I realized that a lot of my decisions over the last 47 years were fear-based decisions. Okay, knowing that, I'm going into this ayahuasca with some even heightened levels of wanting to know what's going on. So maybe my desired outcome is to get over the fear of being afraid. Wow, that's pretty deep, but that's what I needed. So telling Darren about this, what I needed, and him being a friend that he is to me, he tells me about this ayahuasca I couldn't even pronounce. And all the stories I heard about it, I didn't want to hear about it, but you couldn't help but hear about it because you start telling a few of your friends about it, and there was some psychedelic stuff I heard on one side, and it sounded like a story I remember when I was 15 and I drank some of that mushroom tea. And I got trapped in this little park by the railroad train, and I was sitting there on this tea and really thinking some things like I would never do this again. And so telling my friend how fearful I am and wanting to get over the fear of being afraid, he recommends we go do something that reminds me of something like that. Okay, but I trust him, but I'm scared. I'm so afraid. We book our tickets 2 weeks in advance, first class ticket. I mean, I got to get there. And so I remember getting to the airport, and my plane left at 2:24 p.m. on Thursday. Didn't start till Friday at 6 o'clock, man. I'm gonna be early, but I'm so early. I'm afraid. I'm walking. I just told you that I'm afraid of things, and especially being afraid of the unknown and being afraid of something that other people have done that have had some psychedelic memories of some things that I already said I didn't want to do. I'm walking into something that was fearful. But we went a day early, so I'm ready to maybe get through it. And so we're gonna see what happens. And we get there, I get to DFW Airport at 2:15. My plane leaves at 2:24. I literally slide in the valet chunk my keys and say, hey man, I'll be back. And I was able to walk through security. I was the last one on the plane. They closed the door and I said, whew, man, as scared as I am, I'm supposed to be here, I guess, because that was close. So 2:24, we take off. And when we land in Tucson, Arizona, it was 2:23. And I said, now that's pretty dope that I went back in time a couple of hours. Maybe I got a couple of hours of extra time to figure out why I've been so afraid of being afraid. Because now I'm walking into the airport to go get a rental car to drive into something I've never been to. And so I get to the airport, I get to the rental car place, and I'm 10, 12 hours earlier than Darren. So I just got to go to the hotel and figure out why I am kind of feeling nauseous and feeling like there's something in my stomach that makes me afraid. Darren comes in at 12 something, and I make a decision to go pick him up. And when I pick him up, he was really excited to see me. And he probably didn't think I was going to come out at midnight to pick him up. But here I was afraid to do this thing. But my friend, I don't know if he was afraid or if he was just doing this to be with me. But I was going to pick him up from the airport because he was gracious enough to get me to a place of hopefully some healing. So I picked him up at 12 o'clock, and we still got 24 hours. And I said, Darren, well, what are we going to do, man? We got, they told us we got to wear some white clothes and we got to usher in some good, clean spirits. And so I just went with a backpack because I ain't have no white clothes. But I said, in the morning, man, we're going to get all white hoodies and white shirts and white pants and white tennis shoes, because when we get in there, man, I need all the goodness I can get. And we're going to look like twins going to a cult thing because we're going to be dressed alike too, and that's going to be weird, but that's okay. Thank you for coming with me. And so we get to the hotel, and he gets checked into his room, and we wake up the next morning, and we know that we had made a plan to meet about 11 o'clock in the lobby, or about 9 o'clock in the lobby, and we went and got us some breakfast. And over this period of time preparing for this, we couldn't eat meat, and we couldn't have sex, and we couldn't have alcohol, and you couldn't smoke weed, or whatever you do, we couldn't do it. And so some of that was challenging for me. And so that morning we went to go get some, I think we had berries or nuts or something, because I was trying to be clean and pure and couldn't even put on lotion because I really wanted all the goodness to come in. So we go to Walmart, and we walk through Walmart, and man, I'm grabbing all these white pants and white shirts, and I got some for Darren too. And I said, man, we're going to look like we really weird coming out of this hotel, but it's going to be all right. And so we got all our goods, and man, we went back to the hotel, and we planned to meet downstairs at 4 o'clock. We're driving 30 minutes away, but we're going to meet 2 or 3 hours early just to get there because we're excited, but I'm scared. The whole time, I just told you, I'm trying to get over the fear of being afraid, but I'm excited, and I'm doing all this craziness to run into something that I'm afraid of, and it's okay. My friend's with me, but I'm still afraid. So anyway, we go to the room, and I call all my friends that I told that I wasn't gonna talk to them no more this weekend, and I didn't know what we was going into, so I just called them and said, hey man, I love y'all. I'm with Darren, okay? So we meet downstairs at 4 o'clock, and we get in the car, and Darren's driving, and it's about 106 in Tucson, and it's hot out there. And man, as we're driving, they give us a place that has no address, just coordinates. And I said, okay, Darren, man, we okay. We driving, and I said, man, are we going uphill? And he said, yeah, we are. And I looked behind us, and you could see we had gone way uphill, and I didn't see any more cars, but I do see utility lines. So at least I know we're going to a place where, some people exist, because as we're going up this hill, and even the temperature's going from 106 to 96 to 86, and they told us it's going to be cold at night. So, I've got these pictures in my head of some tents and things, and I don't know. But anyway, we going, and we turn off the highway, And this is a sand road now. Now we're on a bumpy road, man, and Darren's driving this car and trying to stay in the sand dunes, and there's a car fly by us, and I'm like, man, how's he doing that? He's been here before. But Darren's driving, and like, man, we're still going uphill, and this little Volkswagen, whatever, Passat is just rattling to death. And then we slow him down, and it comes to a place of peace. And the road gets a little smooth, and I look up, and there's a guy. And this guy is standing there in a white shirt, and big one, and some white MC Hammer style pants, and I'm like, Darren, man, this is some weird stuff. And then I look to the right, and I see this tent, a big tent. And then I see this lady come out, and she's kind of dressed like him, and neither one of them have any teeth. And I'm like, that's not important, but you know, neither one of them. And they tell us, okay, man, just turn in there and drive down this road. And it may be a little dark, and just go as far as you can, and there are a lot of cars in there. And so we turn in this driveway, and we're driving toward this tent. And I just told you I'm scared, man. And I said, Darren, man, we driving into some white people shit. I'm just telling you, these people in white clothes and tents. And the last time I heard about this, David Koresh was doing something in Waco, and Jim Jones had done something somewhere. And in the desert, some people died in a tent, looked like this one. And me and you with these people with no teeth in this tent. So we walk on in, and I see a couple of porta potties there, and I say, okay, well, at least we have some facilities, and I don't think there's no power, but there's some facilities here. And we go on into the tent, man, and we see a bunch of sleeping bags. There's only a couple of people there, so we're early. We get our spot, and Darren's over here, and I'm kind of close to him, and we're just standing there, and I see a couple of more people come in. And keep in mind, y'all, I just told you I'm afraid, and we're in Tucson, Arizona, and the first few people I see they got on all white, and they don't have no teeth, and I don't know what's gonna happen. And then a few more people come in, and they look the same. They're not dressed the same, but they don't have teeth either. And I say, Darren, I don't know if these are my people, man. I just got teeth. And so, and then a few more people come in, and I go, okay. Crowd's changing a little bit. And so I go and I move my mat over next to this lady that had teeth, and and then a few more people come in, and they fill the room up. It's about 35 people in there now. And the room starts to calm down, and they've got these, you know those things, they light the little candle light things in it, and they put it in the air, and they take off, and they sell those Chinese looking things where there's 3 or 4 of those hanging from the ceiling. And I think that's probably gonna be our lighting tonight, because there's no other utilities out here. So maybe that's the lighting, and we're all on these mats, and the room is kind of packed now, and the room is calming down, and it's getting dark, and the ceremony started at about midnight, but they asked us to be there early, so we were there at 4 o'clock, and maybe we were there a little too early because I saw a lot, but that's okay. I'm still scared, and I'm handling it. And I'm telling you about my fear because I told you I was afraid of being afraid. I wanted to get over the fear of being afraid. And so I walked into a fear that I was afraid of. And so here we are in this tent, this big old tent, man, and you can see the rafters in this tent. I mean, it's a real well-constructed tent. I mean, you can look up and see the rafters literally going out to the outside wall. And then the walls come down to a little concrete footing, but the floor is made of dirt, so it's a well-constructed tent. So maybe we might get out of here because they use the tent again. So I'm thinking about that literally because I'm afraid. And so we all settle in, and the guy that's running the ceremony tells us we're going to do some things, and you're going to have different experiences, and different people have had different experiences with this medicine, and because it's a medicinal thing. And you may get to a place where if you feel like you wanted to quit or you're praying, God, make it stop. He said, dig in, that's where your healing is. And so he said that, and that was an anchor for me. I heard that. And so we get into the ceremony thing that night, and they bring all the new people up first. And so there were about 5 or 6 new people. And so that was encouraging that everybody there was not new. So that means the people that had been there before lived through it. So, okay, I'm getting over my fear a little bit. Some of them didn't have teeth, but I don't know what part of the ceremony that was about. But here we are. And so the first person goes up and they take their tea, and I watch the guy, he takes the bottle. We used to have that noni juice, you know what they look like, and you used to have to shake it like that. And he took that medicine and did that with it, and he poured her some, and then he put that bottle down, and he got another bottle, and he did that, and then he poured her some, and then she took it and she drank, and I'm like, okay. She got up, she made it back to her mat, and I watched about 3 people take their medicine, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna go next, and I went up, man, and I got down, and I got down like this with him, and he looked at me and he poured the first bottle. He looked at me and he poured a little more. I'm like, shit, what that's about? Then he got the other bottle and he poured a little bit. Looked at me and he poured a little more. And he looked up at me and I'm like, I'm scared, y'all, I'm telling you. But other people have done it, so maybe I can do it. So I took this cup and I drank this tea. Said, okay, and I got up, went back to my mat and sat there for a few minutes, and a couple of more people went, and I'm still okay. And then about 5 minutes later, I find myself looking for one of those porta potties. And they told us that we may have a situation where we need to purge a little bit. Purging is sometimes good. I want you to know that porta potty, me and it became really good friends because I purged. I mean, I was in there for 3 or 4 hours. If you want to just imagine every crevice I purged. I was throwing up. It was horrible, but I was scared. And then I became so fearful of what was happening to me. I was afraid what would happen if it didn't stop. So now I was afraid of something that I did, that I walked into consciously, drank some tea, and now I'm purging, and now I'm afraid that if this don't stop, what's gonna happen? Or maybe I'm afraid if it do stop, what's gonna really happen? So, but I sit in that porta potty for 3 or 4 hours, man, and I tell you, ever been in one? They got the urinal piece where the man does that here, and then you got the pot. And so I'm sitting on the pot, hugging the urinal. Oh! Oh, God, please make it stop. Both ends, please. And I remember, that's where my healing is. So at that moment, I literally said, you got to get through this. As I sat on that pot, said, I'm going to get off of this pot. I'm over this crap, literally. I got myself together, and I got out of that pot boldly, proud, went back to my mat, and literally, that was almost the end of it because I told myself I was over that. And I went back to my mat, and I see this girl that had teeth. She was smiling. And I say, I know where I've been for 4.5 hours. She was there when I left smiling. She's still smiling. Either she got a jacked up life and had nothing to deal with here, because I don't know what's dealing with me, but it's coming out, so that's good. Or she didn't, or she's just, I don't know, she's smiling, but I noticed that she was smiling. So as I laid down on my mat, I felt good. I was no more purging. I laid down, and I remember, this girl is smiling. And I consciously put a smile on my face. I was asleep. I'm on this tea, I'm high. I done purged. I don't know what's going on. But I put a smile on my face while I was asleep. And I felt a burden lifted off of me. I'm just telling you, I felt like, whoa, I'm free. So about that time, man, we wake up and people are talking about their experiences, and I promise I'm gonna get through this. People are talking about their experiences, and you got people that have seen psychedelic things and wires coming down, plugging into them, charging them up everywhere they needed. And I'm like, shit, all I did was purge. What's going on? I mean, multiple people like, oh my God, my experience, I was floating and I saw jets and airplanes and I was one of the wings, and I'm like, shit, I was in a porta potty. I hope they got what they need, because maybe I just need to be cleaned out. I was full of something. But now we got a choice. I was scared of this thing, and I signed up for 3 nights. So now we go back to the hotel. And I tell Darren on the way back, and he tells me about his experience. And he was one of those people that, saw some really wonderful things and had some really enlightening moments. And like, man, I'll do this purge. I don't know, I'm scared to go back, because what if I go back tomorrow and I go psychedelic? Or what if I go back tomorrow and something else? But I know I ain't gonna purge, so what's the next level of purging after purging? Nobody else was purging like me, so I don't know what the next level is, but I'm afraid, but I'm gonna go back. We get there the next night, man, we got on our, we ain't had to use the hoodies, but we had on our white pants and we was dressed alike, and we was just like everybody else. And we go there the next night, and same thing, man, he just said, remember when you get to a place where, if something needs you needed to go away, you just dig in. That's where your healing is. And so that night, man, after I drank my tea and watched everything, and I wasn't a newbie, so I didn't have to go up on the front end, and I made it back, and I wasn't near as afraid, but I was more afraid. I wasn't afraid of not coming back, but I was more afraid of the unknown, of where my mind would go and what would happen. At that moment, I drank my tea, and we sat there, and I said, are we there yet? I'm just like, are we waiting for it? You ever had that moment like, that's all it's about? Am I there yet? Is this how I'm supposed to feel? And after a while, the tea set in, and I started feeling nauseous, and it's like, I guess, well, it's nothing in here, because I done purged all day yesterday, all night, so all I had was some berries this morning, so nothing in here. But I started feeling nauseous, and this nauseousness would not go away. And I just felt like I had something really big on the inside of me that wanted to come out, literally. And I couldn't get it out. It would not come out, but it was just nauseous feeling. And I remember I said, Lord, please make this feeling stop. And that was my healing moment. And so I dug in, and I said, so how can I get through this? How can I felt like I had a baby in my stomach and I just needed to throw it up, but it wouldn't come up. And it was hurting so bad, and I was so afraid that what if I can't get this baby up, and what if it won't come out? And what if it will come out, and what's gonna happen? And I just didn't know what it was gonna feel like. But at that moment, I decided I needed to get through it, and he told me to dig in. So I told myself that I was gonna get through this. And so I started to breathe. And at that moment, the nauseousness started to subside, and I got through it. And at that moment, I just remembered something that somebody else told me, and I remembered that smile, about how it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile. So at that moment, I thought, I'm gonna smile. And as I was breathing, the nauseousness started to go away, and it hit me that fear that I had was the nauseousness, and the only way I could get through it was tied to an emotion, and that emotion that I had was tied to the time when I was about 9 years old, and this creep molested me, and it was a feeling of wanting to hide and go away, and a feeling of shame, and a feeling of fear, because thinking everybody knew, and thinking that, what happens if this fails, and what if I come out of this bathroom and the kids know what happened to me, and what if we say we're going to build 20,000 units and it doesn't happen? All of those fears were tied up in this baby that wouldn't come out, but it told myself that I had to get through it. And so I woke up the next morning and I got through it, and there was no baby and there were no more fears. And I realized that really what I was looking for was the feeling of being able to get over the fear of being afraid. And as we are collected here today, I want you guys to do something with me really quickly. Everybody stand, please, if you don't mind. Everybody's got a piece of paper. I want you to take and write down your biggest fear. Just one. Everybody's got one. Come on, let's talk about it. We ain't gonna talk out loud, but I just want you to take and write down one fear that you got. Just one. Big one. One that you think's been holding you back. Nobody's gonna see your paper. This is all for you. All right, everybody got it? Put it in your pocket, put it in your purse, put it in your bra, put it wherever you gotta put it. Just hold it close to you for a minute. I want everybody to stand, please. Candace, yeah, join in with us. Get where you got. I just need you to be able to take one step. So get to where you can take one step, and I want you to stand 10 toes down. And I'm gonna need you to take one step. But before we take that step, I need you to close your eyes. Everybody, please, just walk with me. Close your eyes, and I want you to look to your right. And I want you to envision yourself. I want you to look at your head that's standing next to you. Your hair is the best it can be. Just if it were perfect today for you, how would your hair look? And then I want you to come down and see your face and your makeup or your beard or whatever you've got. And I want you to look at that like you've never seen yourself before, but I want you to see yourself as if you were perfect, the way you would really want to look. Look at your face. Now come on down to your shoulders, and how cut are your shoulders, and come on down to your torso. How's your chest? How your pecs? How your breasts? Are they just the way you want them to be? Are you chiseled the perfect you, the way you would want to be? Look at your waistline. Is it the way you want to be, high school age? Come on down and look at your legs. Look at your calves. Look at your feet. Your toenail polish just the way you want it. You're manicured. I mean, this is you. This is your ideal self that you have created. Now, what I want you to do is take one step over and step in those shoes. Literally, take one step over and step in the shoes of that person you just created. Look at yourself. You can open your eyes now. Look at yourself. That is the person you created. You got all the power. Take that fear, tear it up. Literally, everybody, take that fear out of your pocket, wherever you put it. You're gonna tear it up, and we're gonna put it on that table, and we'll never deal with that one again. That fear, we just consciously made a decision to never deal with that one again. Never. How y'all feel? Come on, man, let's learn something about some multifamily. Thank y'all for coming. Appreciate y'all so much.